Welcome back, everybody. Last time we looked at importing data from SQL. Today we're going to look at importing CSV files. Okay, so let's get going. So what we're doing, importing and exporting data to CSV, to and from and to CSV. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to set up my working directory. I'm going to call this variable or this placeholder path. I'm going to copy in my working directory. I'm using this as my videos tutorial. If you don't know what your working directory is, you've got to click copy address as text, and it will take you to that working directory. So let me just repeat that. Right click, copy address as text. I'll just paste that into there. One quirky thing about R is, if you've got a backslash, you need to make each one of these forward slashes. Right, and just finish that one, and then I'm going to add the end to that one. Right, so now a path's been created. Now I'm going to create the file name. Because I've got an example file in here, it's called orders.csv. I'm going to name this orders. Is it capital? Yeah, it's capital. I'm going to name this orders.csv. Okay, so now let's run those two lines. Now I've got orders.csv as my file name. Right, and now I'm going to call the full path. So it'll be the path and the file name appended together. To do that, I'm going to use the paste function. I'm going to first pass the variable called path. Then I'm going to pass the variable called file name, and then with paste you need to use a separator value. So we're just going to separate it by nothing. We're going to, because I want to append it straight onto the end of that. If I wanted a double space, so I want it to be that and then a space in orders, I'd put the separator like that. But I'm going to keep it like that for now. Let's have a look at the full path. Let's just return that, so we'll print that out into the console window. Yep, so now I've got my full path. So now to read in CSV file, I'm going to go read.csv, and I'm going to just use the term full path. Otherwise I'd have to specify all this in my read CSV command. Some other things, if you notice, about the read CSV, let's just go into it again. Full path. So yeah, just one second. You could also use at the end of this, you could also specify if they've got a header or not. Header equals true. You can specify a separator. You can specify what if it's got row and column names. There's loads of different options. What I'd advocate you doing is just using the help command to add further options. But essentially I'm just going to read in this as a data frame. As you can see, now I've got order quantity. It's replaced them with dots because there was periods because there were spaces there. So yeah, now that's read in. So what I'm going to do now, so I don't have to print it out every time, is I'm going to call this data frame, and I'm going to call it read CSV full path, and I'm also going to make sure that it knows it's a data frame. So to coerce things, you can check whether it is a type, or you can convert it to a type. So it's is and as. So what I'm going to do is put as data dot frame as data.frame, wrap it in that. So I'm going to basically pass the read CSV command in and read it as a data frame to make sure that it's always a data frame. And then if I do is data frame, pass df to it, it should return true. Yep. So is just a logic statement. It checks whether it's true or not. As converts it to something. So now we've got that, we can do what we did previously. We can check the structure of that data frame. So there's int in it, and order is a factor of 3 levels, is order A, order B and order C. check the class of, it's also DataFrame. You can have a look at the head of DataFrame, top 6 records. You can have a look at the tail, DataFrame. You can also have a look at some summary statistics. So summary, that'll give me what the median cost is. It's about 3. The total cost is around about 19 median, 26.8 mean, and there's 14 observations in A, B and C. Okay, so that's how you read it in. That's now ready in my data frame. If I did something to it, so let's use the subset command, data frame, where it's just on a sec. So I'm going to use the subset command, where I'll use the dollar notation to refer to elements in my data frame. So order quantity. So give me all those with an order quantity of greater than the first quartile, so that's greater than 4. So greater than 4. So what that'll do is then, I could also say and, we'll just pass order A's. The order type equal to, I'm going to specify order A. So that basically says, give me a subset of my data frame based on data frame order quantity greater than 4, and the data frame order is equal to order ID 1. There's nothing there. Okay. I'll just keep it at 1 for now. Okay, so then that gives me a, obviously there might not have been any values. So it gives me of all those quantities that are greater than 4. So it gives me a subset of that data. So I could just put df sub, and then I could create that as another variable in memory. You'll see it pop up in a minute. There's df sub now, and it'll have all the ordered quantities that are greater than 4. Okay, so now we've got df sub. We could then write this back out to a CSV as we did previously. So we're going to write out this subset, so write the subset back to the same directory. Okay, so what I can use now is the write.csv command. So one reads and one writes. So I'm going to use path, because that's got the path, but I want to call it a different file name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my data frame subset. So df sub. I'm going to then specify the file command. I'm going to use path, so I'm going to use paste actually in path. Path, and we're going to call this orders2 or something catchy like that, .csv. Put that in, wrap that in quotes because it's going to be, sorry for this, get rid of this superfluous one at the end. There we go. So, and then at the start I want my path, comma, so the path, the working path that we used earlier, and now we're just specifying what the file name is called, so path, so orders.csv, and we're going to specify again separator is equal to nothing really. So see what that does. Okay, so that should now have written this file out into that directory that we used previously. I'm going to open my file explorer, and as you can see, orders2 now sits in there. It should have all the orders greater than 4. So if I look there, if I check my minimum value of my order quantity, it should have all orders that are greater than 4. So yeah, so the minimum's 5. So essentially that's worked right. So yeah, that's how you can create a subset of CSV. As you can see, just let me go back to R. We created a file path. We then had a file, created a file name variable. Sorry, I can't speak today. We then created a variable called full path, and we use the paste command to add path and file name together as a concatenation function. We then passed the full path variable into our read.csv, so we're reading all that, so that file from that location. We then set it as a variable called DataFrame. We used the coercion function saying this should be as a data frame. We read the CSV again, so we made sure it became a data frame. We checked whether it was a data frame using the is.dataframe command. We looked at the structure of said data frame, we looked at the class, we looked at the top 6, the bottom 6, and the summary statistics. Then we used a subset command, so to create a subset of that data frame. So we passed data frame first, because that's what our data frame variable is called. Then we use the dollar notation to select a field from that data frame, order.quantity, where it's greater than 4. We then wrote that out to the same directory we were working with using the concatenation function paste again. We passed the path, we passed the new file name, we specified what we wanted it separating by, and then we checked in the working directory to see if that command had been successful, as it had. And then that's essentially how you read and write CSVs. I hope you found that informative, guys. Please subscribe, keep watching. Appreciate all your support. Thank you. See you soon.